and now it's Dead Inside and Myth all knotted up in those 1-2 spots.
Yeah, one huge thing we really do have to point out is how similar the point distribution is looking like so far to Online Tournament 3, where amongst the top 4, there was only a split of about 6 points this time around amongst our top 5 after 3 games. There's only a split of 5, and so it's still very competitive amongst the top 4.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get ready to jump into game number 4, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Apex Legends Global Series. This is online tournament number 4, game number 4. Only 2 left in the European finals as we're going to get ready to drop into this match in just a moment. Might even have some more team comms coming in just a moment. We'll see if that is the case, but getting ready to jump into the map now. And of course, who else but to start things off with who we just saw in a fantastic performance. It's Stanny and Dead Inside.
One contested again, so
Dude, imagine if I fall down the map now.
all 3 of us falling from the front. Oh my god, could you imagine? Oh no, no, no. Where's train? East fragment.
I have a triple take and an Evo.
All right, and great to hear the GSD side, excuse me, the Dead Inside squad off of the drop. Of course, lots of teams still to look for here, Jamerson, and it seems to be this case. Even though we talk about 5 games, consistency is so key. Going into games 4, it always feels like we do have really an open-ended ending of these tournaments because I think this might even be the strongest case. We're finally starting to see some teams start to pull up a little bit more high kill wins. You and I were just talking about Dead Inside with a 9 kill win there, Myth with a 10 kill second, then Ad Hoc with a 7 kill third. So we're finally starting to see the kills stack a little bit more towards the top 3 finishers.
But yeah, if you really do want to try and close it out, especially with how heated the top 4 are, we have to take a look at North America and how that fared out for Team Liquid to take their victory. They had 2 second-place finishes with 10 kills in a row. That's the kind of scoring you need if you really do want to walk away with a victory here. That's what they were able to accomplish during their run in the last online tournament. So I'm looking towards other teams to try and find these early-game rotation frags, try to find isolated kills on the outside. But again, over here at Refinery, it's going to be Red Reserve running into another team.
Absolutely. Red Reserve, like you said, already finding a little bit of resistance there. As we take a look at Refinery, we see Red Reserve had been dropping Refinery in scrims, and actually in scrim notes, which, by the way, shout out to EMEF for all the great notes on what we're seeing in EU scrims. We actually did not have any other teams that were listed as Refinery drops in scrims. So interesting, now they are actually running into the side of team name, and that's your path. That's your Badoli, G-Dolphin, Vex team, and they're kind of on our list as this aggressive team that really great at the game, but of course has not been playing together for a long time. So they're one of the many wild cards in these drops.
They're at the very least at this point 2 out of 4 taking this fight over at Refinery up against Red Reserve. I believe it was in game number 2 where we also saw them fight here, and they were not able to win that out. It was Red Reserve who ended up really bullying them out. And this was a discussion that we had before game number 1 where a lot of teams, of course, game number 1, that's going to set the pace, but it looks like neither team really giving up this spot, and they're going to continue to take this 50-50.
Absolutely, and like we said, several teams, Team Name being one of those teams that is more reactive based on where they're seeing other teams. So surprising to see them take Refinery when it was, seemed to be a little bit of an established drop for Red Reserves in the past few weeks. Now, as we see teams still all over, of course, we got still 2 teams at Skyhook, your Fisher team, if I recall correctly, typically Ad Hoc Gaming over at Fisher, also teams still at Drill, Train, etc., having to make their long way down to this. We also just got a beacon here, things looking like Lava City in ALGS play, and I would say competitive Apex play period. Very familiar with a lot of these Lava City endings, sometimes ending out in the track, sometimes ending in the back corner. We'll have to see exactly where teams decide to hold up, but the Samsung Morningstar is going to be one of your teams that wants to get into these Lava City buildings early.
At the very least, control of the roof is probably what you are looking for here, especially amongst these taller buildings when the teams are coming in for rotations. If you have those long-range weapons like the Scout that Limek does have right now, you can try and use that to get some kills, but it looks like the team already has the roof here as we're seeing the rotation now coming out from Weigers. And I actually like the idea of holding out on the outskirts here, especially if you are a Pathfinder team controlling this Pathfinder beacon building here. And so I want to see Weigers hold position for now. They do have a port set up to just try and get some extra items on over from that truck. And so they're going to be able to port over an extra shield for them to use.
Absolutely. Teams here, of course, are going to be very happy to have these Lava City North buildings as well. Some teams going to prefer that back corner if they can get there. I believe Hotzik calls it the back pocket principle. If you
I believe it's
into one of those
DPP. The deep.
It is the
pocket
DPP.
principle.
Sorry, it is the DPP. The deep pocket principle. God, you're so right.
The only
Hotzik's
way,
gonna-
okay, so like my mnemonic for like remembering that is weird because it's like I think of DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, right?
Sure,
the old
sure.
days of the Diamond Cutter, and then I just change
Yep.
it up with the extra P, so it's the DPP.
That's fair. I think
Yeah.
Hotzik might give it. Hotzik should give me a hard time later.
I'm going to give you a hard time right now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I deserve it. The DPP, I will not forget it. What we're talking about here, folks, the teams are looking to get into the furthest corner so that their rear is safe. And there's an argument that if you're not sure where to hold, or if you can only get an early hold, that you hold the furthest corner of an end circle. And that's going to be, of course, ample opportunities for those in terms of those back corner Lava City buildings. Now, also taking a look at Triumph, they're making a way all the way across east, essentially to head across these tracks to get into this Lava City. But as we saw, areas of Lava City North, Dome, and then all this area, they know they're going to run into some traffic here, so they need to be very careful with how they engage. Keep in mind, as a path team, too, they need to play this pretty carefully.
Yeah, but there's still that kind of effect of just a standoff, right? If you do try to poke a little bit too much or you peek out too much, then all of a sudden you're the one that's getting shot at from another team that's just on the outskirts as well. And so a lot of the times teams are kind of rewarded for taking these bold moves, these bold kind of rotations where...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Speaking of a bold zip all the way to top Dome. As well, as we take a look here at the EXE side, still here in this tunnel north of Sorting, and haven't made the move just yet over on in.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. They do see a natty drop over here also, and the remnants of it. They're going to be able to vulture that up, and that's one of the strengths of being able to play as an edge team, right? Maybe on your initial drop you weren't able to get quite the loot that you want, but because you are playing edge, maybe not as many teams rotating in from your side, it's relatively safe for you to slowly walk in and pick up whatever cursory loot that you can find here. As Cooler is going to use that portal. Luckily, he was able to put that down. They'll be able to get the res off, hopefully, but as we swap over to mid...
My goodness, somehow... As we just saw the Cooler side, the Wraith able to get through, able to loot, and gets down, but able to get back through the port as well. Thought they might be able to loot for just a second on that gold box, and to be honest, with the position they had, they certainly had the time to spend that portal on that, but my goodness, fast down. That tells you the state of affairs, Jamerson, in Lava City right now. If you drop for a moment, you are going to get melted from multiple angles.
Yeah, you really do have to be careful here. Now back on board, this time with Outsiders. They are holding the southern side. One trade already going out. They're going to be able to knock one onto Hakas, and that's a huge pickup, taking out that Wraith. We'll see if he does get res. They don't have a bubble for it quite yet.
Yep, need to play this carefully as we take a look. Going to be a moment for them to get some heals off. The Outsiders side, a team that we saw do very well early on. They were third place after the first game. They dropped to fourth overall after game number 2. So going to be looking to put together a pretty big game number 4. If you're just joining us, folks, welcome to the Apex Legends Global Series Online Tournament number 4. This is game number 4. In the standings so far, Dead Inside and Myth are tied first and second at 32. Nastrape Dell at third with 31. And Ad Hoc Gaming in fourth right now with 27 points, as we also go ahead to check in board with Rugby and Crew.
Yeah, here we are back with XCC, who's had a pretty decent run so far amongst our first 3 games. Right now, they are the team that's set up. They don't have a Pathfinder, but there were 2 Pathfinder teams around here. Now, if you're not running, if you're a Jibby team, what you can do is just try and shadow other teams that do have a Pathfinder, right? You use that kind of information that you're able to glean from them. And so I like this position for them here, as they're just playing around a beacon right now, and they're waiting to see what the other team motions towards.
Absolutely. They like the Cooler side. Essentially, I think Cooler is actually on double white armor. They got a rotate early. As we take a look exactly, Cooler actually was a skyhook or a sorting drop traditionally. You have to think they probably got their Lava City landing that fast, their Lava City hold, if they had a sorting drop. It would have been very fast for them to get the hold that they got if it was a skyhook drop. Probably more likely that they were at sorting this game. That's gotten them a good hold, but they're one of the few teams, I think, here as well, another example with XCC, that is going to have to play off of white armor because they wanted to get in early. And with the limited amount of buildings and cover that you have in Lava City and Lava City North, can't blame them for rotating early.
EXE going to go ahead and make a play to try and get to the east side of this map here, possibly even just hole up inside this RV right now. And they're in a pretty good spot. Rugby, though, down to 1 HP.
My goodness. Let's see. Able to get this med kit off, perhaps stays back and is able to do it. And they're just going to have to hold up. Like you said, Javerson, they're going to need to wait for teams to rotate. They're going to look for picks. They're going to hold this as long as they can and make sure that they don't get down unnecessarily.
Already one knock going on over as Sanya, excuse me, will go down as well. And it's all up to end layer here, but he goes down as well. It's Weigers to clean it up.
Yeah, Weiger's able to make that push, and you know, you have to think, was it that first bit of damage, that first poke that came in that really allowed that Weiger's push to come in? And you have to be so careful that even if you're playing on a Wraith and you're just holding a building like that in Lava City North, all it takes is the right amount of poke damage to come in to force some heals, and that's exactly what happened. Weigers takes advantage of that, and they do it pretty well, to be honest, because in a game 4, it's it's a risky play, but I think we're seeing Weigers right now in terms of where they're sitting on the table in 20th, in dead last. So you have to think, for them, it's a great play to just, why not take that chance? They're in game 4 in last place. Those are the kind of plays they need to make if they really want to make a run here in games 4 and 5. But much easier said than done, but they're off to a decent start in game number 4.
Now on board with B100, who are making the rotation to the southern side here. And this is what a lot of teams have been doing kind of in the meta to reaction to how other teams play in their lobbies right now, where teams are favoring what should be the less populated side here. But we're seeing how that kind of thinking leads, that kind of like group thinking leads to the opposite effect that they have. Another team on the opposite end, they're able to throw out that port as, the shield as the nades are raining in on them.
Yeah, let's see what they can do here. Still damage coming in. They're going to be forced and pushed back down the hill just a little bit. Need to play this very carefully, able to get that bat off. Those shots coming in from all sorts of directions, though. So also the Wraith is going to have to queue. They are going to have to try to retreat as fast as they can here to the tunnel.
Looks like they do have a pocket to work with here. To be interesting to see if they actually destroy that Watson trap. Yeah, they do actually just go ahead and clear it. And so the team inside know of their presence here, so they have to be careful. On the other side of the corner, it was actually Alliance who was forcing them off of their loot, and so they're going to be able to recover this. This is going to be really great. And I like that we are seeing a lot more of the Evo shields coming out with that huge buff again. To max it out, 625 damage, that's all you need. Zafes himself only needs 185 damage to be able to get that red shield. They've got a gold on Hawkus. This is everything you really want, especially if you're trying to get that caustic into the late game here. They are going to have to play edge. I want to see if they go for this fight inside the tunnel or if they play a little bit more passively.
Absolutely, and Alliance, a team that needs to put up some big points for these games 4 and 5 as well. We saw in the pregame just what that tournament win meant to Hawkus and team, but right now they are sitting in 10th place with 18 points, so also big performances needed out of them. And of course, right now, they're going to have an opportunity to take their time on this push. Minute 30 left before they'll need to even think about moving, but that route into Lava City proper is going to need to be very carefully calculated.
Yeah, currently Alliance tied for 9th with SJP2. I think SJP2 win the tiebreakers, though. And so that 18 points, it's going to be a 14-point difference between them and first place. That can easily be made up within 2 games, and they just need one stellar game. They've already got a few kill points here. They need to secure more, though, here in the early game. So we'll see if they can do that.
Absolutely. As we go ahead and take a look now, also still, of course, on the board, the B100 guys still making their push. They're actually pretty far west as well. We're going to keep an eye on them. They still haven't even made their way over to Caves just yet, but certainly another team that we're going to be keeping an eye on.
I'd like to see if possibly Alliance from the roof can throw over a few caustic barrels towards their west. At the very least, try and sneak one in along the path if a team has to try and exit from there. Just to be a little bit of a nuisance, but I think now that Alliance have been able to secure a building, if they can move up to the 2nd floor, it'd be a lot easier for them to hold, as there are 3 points of ingress here on the 1st floor. much easier for them to hold on the second floor. Again, though, here at the northern side, we're seeing Weigers, after they had, of course, taken that team fight win now, they've been able to maintain this position on the building here. I want to see exactly how many teams are currently around them, though. And it looks like it might just be the one that they're facing off against in the other building.
Yep, and just a little bit of a poke battle in between these Lava City buildings, and maybe even more than you would expect to have seen pre-Evo Shield, but you see the few of the players involved in those poke battles unsurprisingly rocking Evos, and actually there you see Hotzek made the call that you're also going to see the charge rifle a big part of those poke battles in terms of collecting that Evo damage as well. But like you said, Weigers knows they need to be careful at how they play this right now, making sure they don't fall victim to exactly what happened to them. Of course, we're a bit later in the game, so it's even more unlikely that someone would make a push on one of those Lava City North buildings, given that the other building and anyone around the dome and that middle part of Lava City would also likely engage as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that come into why the Evo Shield is so big, and one big thing we didn't really talk about was, of course, the nerf to low profile, where they no longer take leg damage, and it's just full body damage.
We do see a push there, and you see it in the ops feed, actually, is definitely a push happening in that Lava City North building. We'll have to see exactly what might be happening. You do see that in the ops feed in terms of the team pushing in from the eastern building to that western building as well. We'll have to get a recap. Nothing there. You see, actually, AHG picks up the first one. The kills exchanged in the feed in that north building. Got to see what's happening all the way up north. I believe now a 2v2 in those buildings. And now Kuya is going to pick up the next one in the feed as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a very strong position for them, especially if it is AHG coming out on top. Trip now going down, and that should be it. Kuya Paradise does answer back. And so with AHG being able to take that team fight win, they'll have the entire north side of the map basically to themselves. I don't know if anyone's in the 4-story to the northeast there, but that might mean a free rotation for them, but once they are able to stabilize here. Looks like NWR, though, might try to play Gatekeeper up against them.
Absolutely, and you got to wonder what prompted AHG, what amount of poke damage or scenario prompted them to push all the way from their building. Certainly it was not a matter of timing exactly in terms of the ring movement. So certainly they got an advantage that they knew they could push. We only saw it in the top of the mini-map, but certainly they're going to now hold that down. Now they're actually the ones that are reigning in damage on Darken, and all of NWR. Somehow Darken is able to stay alive there for a moment. He'll be forced to drop down as well, but they're in all sorts of trouble from a few different angles, most specifically that northern angle from the side of Adhawk Gaming.
Yeah, they bit off a bit more than they could chew, trying to go for this rotation now, as In Style will be the next to go down. It's all up to Darken, left as a solo Gibraltar. At the very least, he does at least have that fully charged up Evo Shield there to work with, and it's Triumph who have taken this position in the north to try and play Gatekeeper up against teams like AHG.
Absolutely. Triumph, a team that's certainly been on our radar as well. Names that anyone who's been watching competitive Apex will recognize, but they're sitting in 18th right now with only 6 points. They are one of the teams on our list that needs a very big game 4 and 5 to even be part of the conversation coming out of this week. But now also taking a look at Adhawk, they've made the move. They're now in here from Dome. They were the team that just pushed on that Lava City building, now playing edge as much as they can, but Kuya taking a whole lot of damage somehow is able to get away, and they will now force some heals as well. They should have a moment to breathe.
Yep, Zipeth, of course, doing what he does best there, as he did have the highest HP for his team, so he was just covering the angle now, but they do have a nice pocket to work with here to fully stabilize before they make their next move. This is going to be interesting, as it does pull over toward that train station. On board, we were for just a moment with Nasky Dell and Strafe, but they're just trading away now as we're down to 12 squads, 36 players remaining. So no solos running around, no rats, and so you have to expect it's going to be full 3v3s in every single fight you take.
Absolutely, and now Eazy-E not quite completely alone on the train, but right now certainly one of the only teams setting up on these train cars. But if you take a look at the minimap, only 2 buildings, right? 12 squads left and only 2 buildings in this next ring. This will be carnage. Teams are going to be flying out of all 4 of the western Lava City buildings. And of course, the westernmost buildings are going to be the ones that are going to have to move first. Teams on the east are going to be looking to try to get those picks. It's going to be absolute chaos here on this next move.
Strafe taking a lot of damage, but at least they're still alive right now. They definitely want to try and make it to the top 5. They haven't even broken top 10 quite yet, but carnage, like you said, is going to ensue. Now, we do have a few levels to work with on the train station, but I only imagine about 2 teams being able to play there. There is a pocket on the right-hand side, so that might be a 3rd team that's able to take position there. The open, though, yeah, I don't see how half the lobby is going to be able to survive this as the zone does start to close now.
Absolutely. Now let's just see that post coming in, and now really it's going to be teams praying that other squads are looking the other direction, as they're going to have to make some movements very quickly here across this open area. Kill feed starts to light up. Na'Vi, Morning Stars, as well as Dead Inside, picking up a few of those first picks. Even more coming in for Morning Stars, Na'Vi, and also Ad Hoc Gaming as well. Just like that, we're into our top 10.
Yeah, Nasky, Dell, and Strafe go down there, and that's a huge stop to them, as they were sitting at 31 points before this here. And so stopping that momentum, making their game number 5 even that much more crucial. It's going to be huge going into this. Right now, we got to concentrate on Myth, who are sitting at 32 points overall, and they want to maintain that kind of lead up going into game number 5 here. This could be a huge statement for them.
Absolutely. Myth, a team that we talked about, they looked very good coming out of the first 2 games of the last online tournament. Right now, they're sitting in first. They're tied up with 32 points, so we've seen some very good holds from them, and they're going to look to have an even stronger finish in this tournament, though, as we see Easy still getting pressured. They need to be careful here as how they play this. So just a little bit over half of the lobby survives that one, but now fit as it will be an ending there, as we see Easy going out in the feed. Cooler and Na'Vi are going to be a few of the teams that get KP out of that, but now back into Myth, still looking for a little bit of that poke damage. Sharp not too far off of that red, 200 damage, excuse me, away.
Yeah, we're down to 7 squads, with 21 players. So it's going to be full squads here. But luckily, nice pocket coming out for this 4-story building. So the teams that are up here, they're going to be looking to try and get whatever KP they can for whatever teams that have to go out into the open. As you can see, now the Wraith portal coming in. Do have a little bit in the bottom left to work with, as we do have that caustic gas coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look at exactly, I don't have an eye on exactly whose Wraith that is. That could be, if I'm not mistaken, it could be an Alliance Wraith, so that could be Hackus down there. We'll have to get confirmation on it exactly that's who's down there, but we do see Matafe actually getting down there by Oxbow. Some good wing poke from him as well, but you saw just as Myth tried to take a look at that Wraith, they can't even peek because of how much pressure's coming in now. Round 6 is closing in. Once again, we're going to see some teams drop here as well. Taze is the first victim.
Yeah, so Dead Inside will go down now. Just it's a matter of where do they finish off, as teams are going down left, right, and center. Alliance picking up some kills themselves here. Looks like they might have survived to possibly get into the top 5 here, as AHG goes down in top 6.
Yeah, look at this now. Myth is still the team we're watching. Can't blame the observers here because they are the ones in control. They have this balcony. They are sitting on all purple. Sharp very close to a red as well. Any shot and any part of the body will certainly be the one to do it now. More shots coming in. This is Myth's game to lose.
Gamers Origin looks like they are the team that are on the ultimate high ground here. As the pings do come out, it looks like the zone pulls just a little bit there, straight down to the south, and so now they're holding on to that position. We'll see if they can set up for it. 17% off from his bombardment here. We'll see if he gets it in time to really try and put more pressure on to this team on the low ground. They do have enough time. I mean, it's 1 minute left here before the next zone closes. It's going to be Gamers Origin picking up 2 kills off of Na'Vi.
Absolutely. What they wouldn't do, Gamers Origin, for a Thermite up top, is they're just trying to get that scout damage and pokes onto that fence. They just don't have the angles. As we take a look and see Myth still holding here on level 2. You see Gamers Origin also holding on level 3. They're on all blue. Last time we checked, Myth with a little bit of an armor advantage on double purple, as well as a red Evo as well. This will come down here now to just 4 squads remaining. We do have Gamers Origin on the height on the roof. By the way, Faizu, the only player, you see him on screen now, from Na'Vi, the only player alive. He's able to get that gold, and now just trying to rat out as much as he can on that fence. It's rough times for Faizu, but they have made him into top 4.
This is reminding me of Gun Gale Online, using the death boxes there to set up a little bit of a fortress for himself, and he's got the armor swaps to work with as well. But now, as that solo rat, he just wants to try and get that extra placement, maybe pick up a KP if he can. During this last scramble here, we have Gamers Origin setting up that Wraith portal here in case they have to go for a heal off as the zone does close in on them.
And here we go. Now they're able to get, and they're going to actually get the pinhole on top. Look at how well this roof now. We're going to have maybe a potential, first time we've seen one in a while, going to have a potential heal off here between these two teams, you can be sure that's almost certainly going to be the case based on exactly where this pinprick of a hill is. It's going to just be a battle of the self-traces and the pre-heals in terms of who can outlast the other team. With 4 squads left, it's going to be a pretty wild heal-off between every single level of this building.
Oh, the important part is that Faizu himself, he's got a gold shield to try and work with here. So we'll see if that fast heal can help him out now. As Sharp takes a lot of damage, he will go down.
Actually, Myth going to be the ones that's getting a little bit of aggression going on now. Amaz is going to be the only player. They did not want to wait till just the end of the heal-off. Amaz will fall as well. I believe that's going to be game over. If I'm not mistaken, it could be a game over. Excuse me, it could be a Gamer's Origin victory from up top. We didn't exactly see in the feed if that is going to be the case. So we'll have to see exactly when that scoreboard does come up. With a 4-squad remaining heal-off, you don't exactly get the opportunity to see exactly who might win it. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking forward to seeing... Was it Alliance in the end?
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful coming out.